Chiki boom, chiki boys, boys. My name is Baba Boys. Nice boys. Ikasu no 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 no. Kiki no boys, boys. Track suru kono boy.
Episode 22. Iki and Vice are delivered the rolling Vice stamp to help with Vice's aches. Once they use it, they end up switching places, where it's Vice in the driver's seat and not Iki. And upon the reveal, George didn't make that Vice stamp, someone else did. But Jack Revice, though, I love everything with this suit. The sharp side, the colors, how sleek it all still is. I straight up love this suit, and I wish we saw more of it outside of this arc. Shoot, the rolling Vice stamp too can also be used as a weapon, because Vice uses it to do like a rider punch, and it can even disable attacks. But yeah, Jack Revice is a gorgeous looking suit for how wicked it is. But yeah, in this arc, both Iki and Vice are, well, stuck. And it gets worse too next episode, when George tries to fix them and they end up merging bodies. Wow. The rolling Vice stamp actually came from Weekend and was made by Masumi Karazaki, George's dad, who turns out isn't dead. And why he sent the rolling Vice stamp in the first place was, well, basically to be a jackass. The episode explains it better, but no, that was just to be a jackass. And so, episode 25, the demon inside the demon's driver leaves Olteca to find his original host. We next see the demon's driver take a new form as the Veil driver. And from there, KamenRider Veil is back. He reestablishes himself from the get-go that it's the Igarashi kid's dad, Genta, and from his intro, he's two things: savage and evil. And now, I've already covered Revice Legacy, so if anyone's watching this blind and curious, go watch that review, because there's a reason why I started with that for Revice Month. And so, back to the story. A big part of episode 25 was everyone recalling a fire that burned down the bathhouse 18 years ago. And that happened in... oh god, words. And that fire happened because of Veil. Iki, as a little boy, saw Veil and Vice was born shortly after, offering Iki a deal that'll save his family. But in return, Iki's not going to remember anything. That slightly changes when Veil makes Iki remember. After they learn about the fire, George explains alongside George's dad, telling the ninja dad, yeah, I don't know his actual name, long ago, Genta's body was filled with gift cells to save his life. So clearly, that spreaded onto his children with how they're able to transform and interact with their demons and so on. I really like this reveal that they're empowered by their enemies to beat their enemies. Like, the only thing that's weird about it, though, is how they're phrased. Like, they're referred to as Gift's descendants, when they technically aren't blood related to Gift. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're still human beings, and if a simple blood transfusion dictated relations, then having actual blood relatives wouldn't mean anything. But after this, Veil is casted out, and Genta goes back into hiding to protect his family. And so, episode 26, Kagero and Daiji decide to sell things after George makes two new Vice stamps, one for Iki and one for Daiji. How they work is that either the host or the demon has to be out of the picture. So, naturally, with Live versus Evil, Daiji manages to beat Evil, and now we get his mid-season form, Holy Live. Keep in mind for now how Kagero was defeated and Daiji was still able to transform. Just for something later. KamenRider Holy Live. I like the color and I like the details. I think the one thing I'm a little iffy on is the chest, because I don't know, I feel like the chest is weird. Like, it still looks like feathers. But yeah, I really like this suit. He gets wings and can fly. He can even turn into feathers and surprise his opponents. And in Holy Live's first fight against Olteka, he just wrecks shit, and it's cool. Episode 28, Gift is reaching his point of reviving, and it's sending Vice into said Berserker mode. Adding more fuel to the fire, Gift fuses with Olteka, turning him into a phase 4 Gift X. Ikki's stamp is ready, but to add more help for the good guys, George wears the Demon's driver and transforms into demons. And I love it. It is so cool. Like, I love every second of him, well, utilizing Demon's powers and speaking English and Japanese in between. Like, straight up, my favorite part of that whole montage is George transforming, all while doing Kuga. And he doesn't even say Henshin. He says, come on, and goes. Quality. And so, Ikki and Vice get stamped, they get back to normal, and their new mid-season form fuses them together, shredding off Jack Revice with color. So, Thundergale Revice. I'm not the biggest fan of Thundergale Revice. And with that said, after this form's debut, that's where at least Revice's forms start to not be some of my favorites. Like, up to Volcano Rex, I love. After this, with Thundergale, not so much. Because what is there really to say about this form? It just looks like a children's drawing, like, brought to life, with how it's so full of scribbles and color. It looks like a bunch of scribbles come to life. Man, I actually don't get where they were going for with it. I think they did this just to match the color scheme of the Vice stamp, because pink and blue are one thing, but where the hell did yellow come from? But this form is powerful, and they do beat Olteka with this form. Now, for Olteka, he not only, or should I say, doesn't die, he's instead eaten by Gift. And why I say that he doesn't die, we'll get to later. But Olteka is instead eaten by Gift, making him the chosen one over Aguilera, who's been following Gift to where everyone else is, and 2, sitting on the sidelines, rejected, because all Gift did was reach his hand out once and just bitch slaps her like, fuck out of here. And so, episode 29, there's a 2-episode miniseries canon to the show where they catch up with Hiromi. Because obviously around this time, the reason for Hiromi to be written off the show was because his actor was in a play. And so they made an episode dedicated to him. Because I think also he got really popular too. And so, Ikki and Daiji confirmed that Hiromi is still alive, but he has amnesia. So with George's help, they make a home video to jog his memory. Now, this episode I think is proof that Toei listens to the fandom, because there's one bit where Vice accidentally uploads Phoenix footage of their battles, and literally George just pulls them away from the laptop, looks into the camera, and says, "No illegal uploads." Well, I think he says no more illegal uploads, but you get what I mean. By the end of the episode, Daiji goes back to wanting to save Phoenix, and Sakura officially joins Weekend. Episodes 30 and 31, Vice's voice actor guest stars on a show he's already a part of. Convenient. The point of it was to touch back on Iki. When Iki was a child and first made a contract with Vice, in turn for borrowing Vice's power, he'll slowly lose his memories of everything. Episodes 32 and 33, Aguilera decides to sell things with Sakura. I haven't mentioned anything up to now. Sakura and Aguilera have had a rivalry going back to Kagero possessing Daiji. Like, mostly subtle, but now it's at the forefront as she's asking Sakura basically for a mercy kill. First off, only Sakura could and should be the only one to do it because of their pre-relationship, sort of. But it's all a matter of perception. Because, for starters, with Aguilera, she straight up has nothing left. Like, most of her life has been a lie. Mainly because she's been indoctrinated into a cult. She wasn't chosen by gift, so wanting herself to die seems like the only option to her. However, Sakura is very hesitant about that, so for starters, she just doesn't want to kill Aguilera flat out, no matter how many people insist that either you shouldn't fight or just don't try to kill her. To which George makes a new Vice stamp for her so that she can separate Aguilera from her inner demon. And so after that, Aguilera decides to join Weekend and takes up a new name, now referred to as Hana. I know back when this show was airing too, people were shipping Hana and Sakura as a couple, which, if I can be fully honest right now, I'm sorry, I kind of didn't see it. Even rewatching it, I kind of didn't see it. Because what do they do to show that they're a couple? They went out together once to Six Flags. Didn't really seem like much of a date. Hell, I've been out places before with girls and they apparently weren't even considered dates. But yeah, they just didn't. They come off less like a couple and more like besties. Now, around this time too, Veil is also starting to take physical form thanks to Akiyashi. And so, episode 35, director Akiyashi pulls a propaganda stunt about how humanity should give in to gift by blowing up Phoenix. And I mean everything from Phoenix. People, the skyship, all gone and dead. And the son of the fake family, Hikaru, he takes the demon's driver after George modified it to work without Veil and becomes KamenRider over demons and saves the Igarashi kids from Gift. Now, over demons is basically the fusion of Veil and demons. So I'm just pulling up a picture and yeah, this suit, it's a fusion. Just Veil's head and left shoulder. This suit is just random. It feels just so lazy and random. Like, the rest of it is literally Demon's suit, but with Veil's helmet. I'm not a big fan. Just, that was a lazy and random choice. Episode 36. I want to talk about things for the heroes first, then the villains. Vale is still out looking for Genta and is working through the riders to get to him, but this episode highlights Hana. Despite the fact that she and Tamaki are normal people now, they still want to be of more use for Weekend, so both Tamaki and Hana are secretly tested to fully be a part of Weekend by setting Tamaki up as bait that Vale could take him hostage so that they could find where Akihashi is hiding. They don't get to the director, but instead Tamaki busses out a new driver that Hana uses instead to make her a rider. Rewatching this episode 2, I digged it more because I believed Hana, and she couldn't shake off her reputation as Aguilera, so instead she just changed it. So with that said, let's talk about KamenRider Aguilera, to which right off the bat, I love this suit. Sorry, just pull it up one more time. Yep, I'm still right. I do still love this suit. The wings on the helmet aren't too big, but everything else with it, I love. I love that it's white. I love that it's red. It just looks sweet. Hell, she even dual wields knives in a reverse grip. I'm guessing to resemble the wings on a bee, to which, awesome. And like what I said about this show not having a problem with inconsistent power levels, her first fight with Vale shows it. Because the only reason why Vale has been so powerful and been able to move around in a physical form is because he's been absorbing energy from Vice stamps, mainly from Revice. But yeah, when Aguilera fights Vale, she whoops the brakes off his ass, and it makes sense because fucking Vale didn't have Aguilera's Vice stamp. So, naturally, she gets curved. I mean, he gets curved. But yeah, her fight is just phenomenal. I love it. Now, as for the villains in this episode, Gift creates a new type of monster called the Hell Giftarians, where they take no damage. And I mean, they take 0 damage. If you hit them once and there's a hole showing, it fixes itself. Anywho, there's also... I haven't mentioned one more character, only because they just showed up. And that character's name is Akimi. She was the doctor who diagnosed Hiromi about what was happening with him, and was brainwashed by Akihashi to join his side. And then she gets turned into a monster. In an attempt Revice tried to separate her from her demon, she manages to speak and say the only way to beat Giff is to make his power their own. Episode 37. Weekend and Iki form a plan to capture Akimi and turn her back to normal by removing all the Giff cells from her body and have those genes empower the new Giffard Rex Vice stamp. The plan goes without a hatch until 1. The Hell Giftarians show up, and honest to God, they're more powerful than they look. And 2. Akihashi shoots Akimi from behind, killing her. Daiji shows up and grasps her before she dies, and mistakes their plan as sacrificing her to get to Gift.
えないんだよ。